Good morning, everyone, and I'd like to welcome you to the Marion County Board of County Commissioners regularly scheduled board meeting. Today is Tuesday, March the 19th, 2019. If you'll please stand with me for the invocation and pledge by Commissioner Zalek.
Bow your heads with me. Lord, we thank you for this incredible day that we get to gather in our free country to deliberate about the business of Marion County. We ask you for the protection of those that are protecting us overseas and also here locally. We ask that you continue to strengthen our families and continue to make Marion County a place where family still matters. We love you, Lord, and we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if we could please have roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Chairman Stone.
Here.
Vice Chairman Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Bryant. Commissioner Gold.
Here.
Commissioner Zalek.
Here.
Okay, very good. Well, Commissioner Bryant is off on her honeymoon, and we wish her and her new husband, Mr. House, Chad House, a wonderful time. I'll start with our announcements, and today at 10 a.m., we will have a public hearing to consider an ordinance to amend Chapter 16 of the Marion County Code related to franchise haulers. This afternoon at 1:50, we'll convene a meeting, again, here in our chambers, at a meeting of the Marion County Community Redevelopment Area Board. At 2 p.m., we'll go into our regularly scheduled meeting for zoning and planning. And then today at 2, we will also, or thereafter as soon as possible, we'll have a public hearing to consider a road closure petition. And this is associated with Stonecrest Center Phase 4 of a partial replat. I'd also like to announce that on March the 30th, here at the McPherson Field at 10 a.m., Marion County will celebrate our 175th anniversary. And we hope that all of you and those that are listening, the sound of my voice, will join us as we celebrate that entire day. Again, on April the 2nd, we will have a meeting, which will be our regularly scheduled meeting on the third Tuesday of every month, again in these chambers at 9 a.m. And with that, I'd like to encourage participation by all that are in attendance today and to ensure equal access for everyone as well as foster mutual respect. I will ask that you please adhere to these following guidelines. As a courtesy to others, please silence your cell phone or any other electronic device that you may have. You may take any conversations that you have outside into the foyer and still be able to hear our meeting, but we ask that you not have any outside conversation while you're here in the auditorium. When you do step up to the podium, if you are going to speak, please give your name and address for the record. Those that have already signed up in advance will have 5 minutes to speak. Others who will be speaking during public comment may have 2 minutes, and there are a set of lights on each side on the podium, and you will get a yellow light giving you just a few more moments to conclude your comments before your red light comes on. General public items, public hearings, and consent agenda items, and any other items that the board is expected to discuss can be found on the Marion County website that is located at www.marioncountyfl.org. They are always posted by the Friday before each board meeting. If you click on agendas on the home page, you may download the entire agenda packet and all of our backup documentation. Anyone requiring accommodations due to a disability or a physical impairment should contact Marion County Administration at 352-438-2300 at least 2 days before a meeting. And our Marion County Clerk of Court keeps our official minutes, and all audio recordings of the Commission meetings, workshops, and other public hearings. To request a copy of these materials, contact the Clerk's office at 352-671-5622. Marion County also offers video recordings of most board meetings, workshops, and public hearings. And you can get information on those at the Marion County Administration Office at 352-438-2300. So now that we've covered all of those items, we'll go right into our proclamations and presentations.
Second.
If I could,
And then we have a
excuse
walk-on,
me, and
too.
we have one walk-on.
Motion to consider the walk-on, or do we need that?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got a motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Zalek to consider the walk-on, which is a proclamation commemorating Marion County's 175th anniversary, and this will be by Dale Burns, City of Dunnellon Mayor. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously. And do we have anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment on this presentation that is a walk-on? Then I'll close public comment. And again, now we'll consider all of our proclamations and presentations. And I think I had a motion by Commissioner Zalek,
Moved, yep.
Second.
second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. So let's start with our presentation by Mr. Burns, City of Dunnellon, please. So would you like us to stay seated until you make the presentation? Yes, okay, we certainly will.
Dale Burns, 20181 Short Tower Way, Dunnellon, Florida. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for inviting us over. Second, thank you that you're such good neighbors. We like good neighbors, and you guys are good neighbors, so thank you for that. The year is 2019, and it marks the 175th anniversary of the creation of Marion County, Florida. And when the U.S. government acquired Florida in 1821, scouts were sent to survey the peninsula. In 1825, the government created an agency to oversee the Seminole population in what would become Marion County. The U.S. Army established a military outpost to protect the northern boundary of the Indian Reservation, and pioneers came to present present-day Marion County for free land offered under the Armed Occupation Act during 1840s. And between 1842 and 1844, the county was still a part of Alachua, Mosquito, Orange, and Hillsborough counties. And the closest county seat was in Alachua, a difficult 50 miles from Fort King. As a result of early settlers began to get restless for a new county, and Gabriel Priest, the first state senator from Marion, represented Alachua County when he introduced a bill to create the new county. And the Territorial Legislative Council authorized the formation of Marion County, and Richard Keith Call, the territorial governor, signed the law March 25th, 1844. And Marion County has grown substantially in its history and now boasts significant economic development, and the people and natural landmarks of Marion County have contributed greatly to the history of the state of Florida. And incorporated in 1891, Dunnellon is proud to be a small city in beautiful Marion County, and we are excited to participate in the celebration of our older brother, March 30th, 2019. Be it proclaimed, the City Council hereby recognizes and celebrates your 175th birthday.
Thank you, Mayor Burns. We'll join you around front.
Make sure it's on.
Yes. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Burns. We appreciate being your neighbor, and you are a good neighbor as well, the whole entire town of Dunellen. We are happy to be a part of receiving this, and we thank you for coming personally to deliver it this morning.
Thank you.
You have anything else you'd like to add?
Just bless Marion County, and we're glad to have you guys as our neighbors. Look forward to that Fort Trail coming close to Dunellen soon.
Thank you. And if you'll hold just 1 second, yeah, we'll take a quick photo together.
There you go. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you again, Mayor Burns. It's a beautiful. Yeah, very nice. While we're out here, we'll continue with proclamations, and Commissioner Moore is going to deliver our second proclamation this morning.
I'll just finish up with the first one. Thank you to Mayor Burns for going up with us to promote Marion County and Tallahassee. One real nice touch that he had, he was praying with each of our state legislators. Yeah, I mean, it was such a nice touch. So thank you, Mayor Burns, for all you do. And as we continue on with the historic theme, he was mentioning the history of Marion County. We have another historic thing, which is our next proclamation. And for those who don't understand, but when you get to be my age, you need glasses to read the proclamation. But if we could have the ladies come forward that are sitting here, and I see 3. Oh, okay. 2 of them were hiding in the back there. Okay, I was going to say, one of them I have to hand this to, and they weren't on the front row.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
We are so happy to have you on here this morning.
Yes. Yeah, Nancy, but originally I only saw you 3 in the front. I was going, where's Miss Nancy? You know.
We're going to put actually
Yes, and Miss Nancy, I think I'm handing this to you, so if you'll be here. Okay. This proclamation is for Confederate Memorial Day, and that's a part of history. We got to teach all parts of history. We don't revise history. We teach history as it happened. Whereas the year 2011, so, yeah, I've got my opinions. Anyway, whereas the year 2011 marked the now I know why you all have me read that. What she said, celebration of the civil conflict that tore the nation in two. And whereas the month of April is the time during which the Confederate States of America initiated and ended its 4-year struggle for a sovereign and independent nation. And whereas in proportion to its population, the state of Florida lent more soldiers and sailors to the Confederate cause than did any other southern state. And whereas April 26th has been designated by the laws of Florida as a legal holiday, a time in which to honor the memories of those who sacrificed their lives in the war between the states. And whereas, as we recall the tragic events that took place between the years of 1861 and 1865, we do so in an attempt to better understand a better understanding of the conflicting ideals and passions that pitted brother against brother and tore a nation apart. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida, by the virtue and authority vested in us, do hereby proclaim April 26, 2019 be known as Confederate Memorial Day. Signed by almost every county commissioner. One's on her honeymoon, but the rest of us, we signed it, and attested to by David Elchman, Clerk of Courts. And Ms. Nancy, do you have a few words?
Just thank you very much in this recognition of our history and our ancestors of Southern heritage, and we appreciate this so much for their valor and their service to defend their homeland, their Southland, their Dixie. Thank you.
And if this mentions, brother against brother, all my dad's side fought on one side on the south, all my mom's side fought on the north, so it truly was a brother against brother. Does anyone else want to say anything? Ms. Tevis? No. Miss Judy?
I'd just like to remind y'all that we are in the General Robert Bullock chapter, and General Bullock was a local politician, judge, clerk of the court. He served the United States before and after the war between the states, and then he served the Confederacy during the states by being one of the least recognized generals in the whole Confederacy.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll go ahead and do a picture.
Move to the left.
No. This is Republican.
That's foreign for us.
Push in a little bit more. We're all skewed pretty right.
Look, you're on the far right.
Far right.
3, 2, 1. Thank you.
And Commissioner, you can get Commissioner Bryant to come back in.
Okay, and sign up.
Yeah, she'll sign it.
Yeah, I'll see you in September again.
If not, Miss Judy has access to like an unending supply. What, Miss Nadja won't give it to you?
No, I'm sure she might.
Oh, wait, first.
The other one will do on a.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we appreciate everyone who came this morning for those presentations, and now we'll go into our general public comment items. And we have Karen Arman. Miss Arman? Good morning.
Good morning. Karen Arman, 2234 Northeast 6th Place, Ocala, Florida. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for giving me a chance to voice my opinion. I'm here to talk about commercial breeding. It critically examines the successes and failures of current legislation regulating commercial breeders. The article considers the environmental impacts of large commercial breeding facilities and suggests that these operations should be regulated as animal feeding operations, AFOs, and finally, evaluates the need for further federal and state governmental regulation of commercial breeding facilities through pollution control and waste management, thereby ensuring the well-being of commercially bred dogs as well as the local environment. Sorry, I'm sick. I have a cold, so.
Okay, sure.
The risk to our health. Pet waste, when disposed of improperly, can affect our water quality, the health of our pets as well. Our health is at risk as well. Pets and children who play in yards or in parks where pets defecate are most at risk for infection from disease-causing bacteria and parasites found in the pet waste. Diseases that can be passed from pet waste to humans include parvo, a virus that is transmitted through fecal matter of infected dogs. Only a tiny portion of the infected fecal matter is needed to infect a non-immune dog. Puppies are particularly susceptible. Labracosis, a bacterial infection carried by dogs that frequently causes diarrhea in humans. Salmonellosis, I'm probably not saying these right, the most common bacteria infection transmitted to humans by other animals. Taxocariasis, roundworms, usually transmitted from dogs to humans, often without noticeable symptoms. I have one more page.
Miss Arman, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, we have Connie Dudwick. And following behind Miss Dudwick will be Reed Dudwick. If you'd like to come on down, we have a second podium. And if you'll please give your name and address for the record.
Connie Dudkowick, 3787 Southeast 150th Street in Summerfield, Florida. I'm here talking about the permit for the dog breeding kennel at 3783 Southeast 150th Street in Summerfield, Florida. This operation had moved in to our neighborhood in late 2016 and started putting up kennels in 2017. At the zoning board meeting, they stated that they were under the impression that they could have this facility on this land for their business. They also stated they have been in business for 21 years. This is their business, breeding dogs and making puppies. They should not be under any impression. They should have made sure and done their due diligence for the residents of Southeast 150th Street. We feel our rights have been violated. Also at the zoning board, they stated that they had placed sight and sound barrier fencing. In fact, it is a chain link fence with plastic lattice zip tied to it. Not a sound or noise barrier, or has nothing to do with the smell that comes from that facility. They have recently put up some black plastic tarp in a corner of the north side. I still don't want this facility in my neighborhood because of property values. I have concerns on air quality, water quality, noise, property value, and the way these domestic animals, they're being treated. They're personal animals and made for profit. In a alternative approval conditions, they state that they would allow them to have 40 adult dogs and 50 puppies. This is still not enough of a limit. Taking waste, they noted in there bi-weekly. Bi-weekly is to be taken several different ways. I prefer twice a week. If they do have to do, right, sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Dedwick. We appreciate your being here with us today, and there will be, that item will be heard today in our 2 o'clock hour. Well, it may be a little later than that, but our meeting begins at 2 this afternoon.
But this meeting for that begins at 2 o'clock?
Yep.
It does.
So what we're doing right now is really wait.
We're listening.
Oh, you're still on the record.
Still on the
Yeah,
record.
it's still on the
we're
record.
Still listening.
So your testimony this morning is just as good as it is in the afternoon.
Oh, is it?
But you won't hear, the applicant won't have to be here till after 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So you won't hear what they say or any of that other information unless you come back.
Okay.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Okay, I apologize.
No worries. No.
My name is Reed Dyquick. I live at 3795 Southeast 150th Street. One of my biggest concerns is regards to the property value. It seems like they've been doing this for the last 3 years without any kind of consideration to the neighbors until some of the neighbors have reported them to the zoning commission and they got busted. Well, now we have had people come and do evaluations of our property to see how much it's worth, but we have depreciated substantially because of that. So it feels like to us that we invest our money into the property, but we're losing, but they're gaining on our loss because they're selling their dogs on the property that we're losing from. And I know that a lot of people, they talk about all the stuff that they're doing, but they're moving their trailers. The smell is still ridiculous, and they're not doing what they say they're doing. They're trying to cut corners in every way they can to please you guys, saying, hey, we're doing this, we're doing this. But all of us neighbors are right. A couple of us are here right now to talk about this. But the thing is, I remember, Mrs. Stone, you said in the March meeting of 2019, everybody should be able to live in a beautiful environment, and the neighborhood should not suffer regards to long-term horrible smells. You said that. And that's kind of what we're trying to say. We should have the right to live in harmony and quietness and peacefulness, just as you stated. But right now we don't. We're being harassed tremendously, as you saw the last meeting. And one of our residents, when he went home, he was getting cursed at by these people. And just stop and think. How would you like them to live in this neighborhood? How would you like to live in this neighborhood? How would you? It wouldn't be fair. It's too small a piece of property to have 90 dogs. And they already stated they're going to do what they want to do regardless of what the outcome of this is, which right there is harassing us.
Again, I think our time should be at 5 minutes at this point for those that are signed up. And I'm not sure that you're getting a full 5 minutes this morning. I time this last one.
Was it 5? Dan? Okay.
Was it? Well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dudwick, for sharing your thoughts on that, and we will certainly keep all that is being shared with us this morning in mind when we speak again this afternoon on this topic. And we invite you to return. Yes, Attorney Mentor?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a comment as far as the process. Obviously, the board, every county commission meeting has the open to the public session, but as we've said many times, a special use permit is a quasi-judicial proceeding, so it's like a court-type proceeding. Generally speaking, that involves both parties having notice of when evidence is going to be presented. So right now we've got a situation where these comments are being presented and the applicant's not here to hear this testimony that's being offered to the board. So I think it'll be important this afternoon. I've tried to make some notes to at least advise the applicant of what these issues have been presented to the board. Another thing I would say is that from time to time we have comments to the effect that people's property values are being affected. If we were in court, that would generally be presented by an expert testimony by an appraiser that could give you a before and after determination of what the impact on property values is. So generally speaking, for an individual to just come up and make an unsupported statement that their property values are being impacted is not sufficient to establish that fact. So I just want the board to be aware of that.
Question for Mr. Minner.
Yes.
If the last two speakers would come in the afternoon, would that rectify that?
Oh yeah, sure.
And I don't know if they're able to make that or not, but that would help. I know it's taken a lot of time out of your day, and it will be at the last item on the agenda for the zoning today.
You're well.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, we have Kathy Wyckoff. I don't see her in the audience this morning. And Karen Gobert. She is here. While we're waiting, Sandra Shaw. Okay.
Oh, here comes Karen. Oh, that dog looks so much better. You'll make good progress. Cool.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sandra Shaw, 2309 Northeast 37th Street, Ocala, Florida, 34479. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you and hope you're all doing good. I'm doing much better fighting a skin infection and those nasty heartworms, but I will be all better one day. I'm a survivor. Spiritually, I love my life now. I've never been so happy. I get to be me, running, playing with more love than I ever thought imaginable. I have a real family. Commissioner Gold. Mommy told me a story that you adopted Puzzle, an abused German Shepherd from the Humane Society. From the bottom of my heart and soul, thank you for saving her and giving her the love she so deserves. You are truly an upstanding person of your word. Yes, I remember our meeting. You are awesome in my book and have set an example I hope and pray many will follow. I will continue my fight for my brothers and sisters until we, the survivors, have heard. New laws will need to be implemented to include those already in business against puppy mills and backyard breeders. Please do not grandfather those in that will continue to horrifying profit. They will do anything it takes to appease the lawmakers to make it look like they're doing right by the animals, but behind closed doors, we the breeding dogs know the true story. Please listen to us. We are the ones who have lived this life, and without rescuers, not breeders, they do not save us. We would never have a voice to be able to proudly stand in front of you today to represent and stand up for ourselves. Once again, thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak with all of you. It has been a pleasure. You are also our voice. Thank you. Noelle.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Noelle is looking much better.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the audience who would like to speak this morning? If so, please come forward.
Getting some loving on the way out.
We have 2 podiums if you'd like to come on. Yeah, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jeannie Darrow. I'm the director of WAGS Animal Rescue here in Ocala. Additionally, I'm also a vet tech in this area. So I look at this as both a medical and a rescue standpoint because of also the health and condition of the animals there, because I've seen some that are from there. So I know what they look like often when they first get sick right after being adopted. I currently have both a patient, and I consider him my little friend, that is right now going through liver failure that is from there. And it's a sad story because this family's already put thousands of dollars into trying to save his life. And they're going to have to put thousands of dollars more just to figure out how to save his life. And then another few $1,000s on top of that probably to fix his liver. And it's not the only dog out there like that, and it's not going to be the only dog out there like that. It's a health and safety issue for this county because if we have dogs that are sick with anything that's contagious, your dog never has to meet that dog to get sick. Somebody touches that dog at a storefront and then goes and touches your dog. If your dog does not have full immunity yet, and they don't until they're at least 16 weeks old, so if you've recently gotten a puppy from a reputable breeder or from a rescue and it's still getting its vaccines, that dog can still kill your dog. They can kill your dog even if you've never met them. So it is a health and safety issue for this county as well. I feel like right now there are too many dogs out there like Pepper Wyndham, who is fighting for his life today even, who we just took like about 100 milliliters of fluid off of his abdomen. This is a normally 3-pound dog just on Thursday, and it's already building back up again. Right now we are at a crossroads in Marion County, and you have the opportunity to make a decision that a lot of areas already out there are making, and that is to take a stance that puppy mills are bad for public health and safety, they are bad for public morale, they are bad for business, and of course they are very bad for animals. So I really hope that you guys consider that today and that you make a good decision.
Thank you, Ms. Darrow.
Hi.
Mr. Mentor, did you get all of that? I see you taking strong notes over there, so thank you again. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Dale Kreitzer, 259 Marion Oaks Lane, Ocala, Florida. I'm here speaking about the animals and in general, and I'm not speaking specific to any breeder or puppy mill in this county. But my question is that when we go for our land use special permits, it should be required to have a certain amount of property to not invade on other people's rights or personal lives or anything. I lived in an area of a place back in New Jersey where they would do things and they would go home to their neighborhoods and be happy and everything, and I had to go back and watch what other people were doing. It wasn't a kennel, but not to get on that subject, but sorry. My question is that when you put forth special conditions to people that have these, enclosing a kennel, I think it then takes away the stride movement in an animal, the size of the cage, because I think outdoors you have to have a certain amount of space, I believe now in our county, in our ordinance, that you have to have a stride and then turn and be able, but when you have an enclosed kennel, they can keep them in small cages. I don't believe that our ordinance covers that specific movement. I think you can be put in a small kennel, a small cage. So my question is that if we do a special use permit and have to have an enclosed kennel because of the noise for the other people, are you going to have still that stride movement for the animal in there, or are they going to be put in a little cage that I buy at PetSmart?
Our kennel does, I'm sorry, did you? Okay. Our kennel does allow, the ordinance does allow for a full stride, and that would not be addressed to change that.
Okay, but well, I was, because I was
We'll
told.
have someone get with you for additional detail. I don't know if we have someone on staff. Jim, could you please get with Ms. Kreitzer and help her understand the ordinance? Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Talking about, that was outside facilities were a stride, right?
No.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Do we have anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak this morning?
I do.
Oh, Kathy.
Late, sorry. You guys go too fast sometimes. Good morning, Commissioners. Kathy Wyckoff, 723 Northwest 30th Avenue, the Justice AHA Project. And I don't have nothing for you today. But I do have someone who is going to give you direct information about some of the things I've been talking about. I'd like to introduce David Dilberg.
So, Mr. Dilbert, we'll start your time again as you'll be speaking as an individual. And if you'll please give your name and address for the record, please, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. My name is David Dilberg, and I live at 3601 West Silver Springs Boulevard. Good morning, Commissioners. Please have a little patience with me this morning. I'm not very good at public speaking, and this is my first time. I'm here to speak today on an incident that happened in Marion County Jail on Saturday, March 8th, between 2 and 4 p.m. The previous following weeks to this event, on multiple occasions, extortion, violence, and stealing and theft was happening in my pod, as it does in every other pod in the jail, among random inmates, orchestrated by groups and organizations inside the pod. And we've reported these situations to officers on many occasions, and nothing is ever done about it. They say that they were going to report it to the sergeant. On March 8th, the following day of canteen on Saturday, taunts, yells, and violence was happening all throughout the pod. And a group of inmates, myself included, decided wise to pack up and step out when they called medication. We immediately following the door, immediately when the door was open and medication was called for those inmates who received medication, we all picked up our mats and our baskets, and we left the pod fleeing for our safety and seeking asylum. Now, the policy is in Marion County Jail that if you fear for your life and you need to be moved, they have to move you in regard for your safety. We went out there, and before everybody made it out, the door was closed on 5 or 6 inmates. As soon as that happened, a crowd surrounded them, and they started being threatened and yelled at, and just overall it wasn't a safe situation. You could see it through the glass even when we were standing outside the pod. The whole situation happened. We explained the situation to the officer on shift. We requested to speak to the sergeant and the captain. The sergeant was called, and Sergeant Sones arrived. He told us we had to go back into the pod and that he was not going to move us. We repeated to this man that we were in fear for our lives and we needed to be moved because it was not a safe situation. He then ordered additional officers who came down with cans of riot spray. And I would like to point out that we were not being violent. We were not being out of hand, as so to say. And him and the other officers, they brought cans of spray, riot spray.
I'm sorry, but your time is up. But if you would like to make an appointment to speak with us individually, we'll be happy to talk to you about your incident. And I'm going to ask you, have you made a full report at the jail?
Yes, ma'am. I tried to do that. I filed the grievance report on an inmate request form. The immediate following morning, we were shaken down by the shakedown team, and my pink receipt of that report conveniently disappeared. That was the following Tuesday after that Saturday. I was effectively never seen regarding that grievance.
So if you'd like to step next door and make an appointment, I'll be happy to speak with you, and I believe most all of our commissioners here would as well. And we appreciate you being with us this morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your patience.
Sir. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak this morning? Then we'll move on. We have 4 sets of minutes to adopt this morning.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Gold. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Give me 1 second. We'll move to our clerk, and our clerk is out today, and we have someone who's standing in on his behalf as well.
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of Clerk Elsberman, I'm presenting a request for consideration and adoption of Budget Amendment Resolutions 5A1 through 5A6 as presented on the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Moore. Do we have any further discussion on our clerk's request for 5A1 through 5A6? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And we also have a constitutional officer request this morning, which is Mr. Lynn with us this morning?
But Todd is.
Todd, if you'd like to come forward, we've got a request from for a signature for an application.
Todd Tezzolino, Chief Deputy Court Administrator for the 5th Judicial Circuit Court. This grant is associated with 15,056. There's no fiscal match required for this grant, and it's to help juvenile delinquency and juvenile dependency court with our problem-solving courts, and it's mostly to help children and teens with substance abuse issues.
It sounds like a worthy cause.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for finding more money for us. We'll next move, well, we've still got a few minutes before we hit our public hearing. So let's move on to our consent. We'll start with Commissioner Zalek.
I'm good.
Commissioner Moore.
I'm good.
Commissioner Gold?
No.
Okay, I'll pull 71 just for some advertisement on it.
I'll move the balance.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore to move the balance. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And now for 71, let me just get to that one, please.
Oh, that's good.
This is a request, Commissioner, for us to accept a grant from the Marion County Hospital District to fund $1 million for our Aquatic Center 25-yard pool and authorize the chair to sign the letter for said agreement. And again, this is in conjunction with the Aquatic Center that we are discussing at this moment in time. We do have a timeline for these monies to be used by December 21st, 2020. So if you all are in agreement, we're still waiting for notification from the state that we have been awarded that property. Mr. Biones, do you have anything else you'd like to talk?
And we are also working on a timeline for you and the financial plan like you requested. And very soon, when we bring this information to you, we need to be all working in that direction, pushing for participation, for sponsorship, try to raise all the funding that we need to get this project done. In addition to that, we want to discuss with you the bed tax and how that can be used partially maybe for this purpose.
Commissioner Moore?
When we were up in Tallahassee, I had the opportunity to talk to Eric Draper, the new David Clark, and David Clark had shared with Eric Draper this, so he was really up on it. And we've invited Eric Draper to come down and basically see where this is going to be. So I'm hoping that will happen in the near future. But
very good.
But that's awesome. This is awesome.
This is the first of additional monies to come to the county.
This is going to help.
Commissioner Zalek?
I was just asking, Madam Chair, we also talked with the, I know we were going to have a conversation with the school board on their, they have capital funds that are sectioned off differently, and sometimes they have, depending on their building situation and scale and years, and sometimes they have some dollars that I think that, especially since all these high school teams are going to be participating and being using the facility, that it would certainly, at least in that section of it, would be great to have another governmental partner.
That's a great idea. We've not had those conversations yet, but thank you. We will move forward to getting those scheduled. Yes, we'll move forward with getting them scheduled. Okay. With that,
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you all. We're moving through our agenda items pretty quickly this morning. I'll move on to Mr. Mentor, our attorney, and wish him a very happy birthday today.
All right. We won't sing to you because Kathy's
We
not
won't
here, so.
sing.
I've had to work hard to accomplish this. So.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you a beautiful day and a year full of great health and happiness.
Madam Chair, I don't have anything on the agenda, but this morning I sent by email to each of you the complaint in the opioid litigation that has been a long time coming, but we're now prepared to file. We would file it in the federal Ocala District of the, or Ocala Division of the Middle District of Florida Federal District Court. And I don't know if you all want to read through that. As I said, it's about 300 pages, so I'm sure you'll enjoy the reading. But if you want to read through that before I give the go-ahead to file that.
Well, do we need to put that on the agenda for voting on our next one, or are we able to act on it today?
The board, literally about a year ago, approved the selection of the outside team to do this for the purpose of filing this lawsuit. So I just want to know whether you want me to give them the go-ahead to file it, or if
You need a motion for that?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion. Go ahead.
Second.
Okay.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Moore to move forward with filing in federal court. Any additional conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion does carry unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mentor. Okay, well, we still have more time. So, Mr. Boyanis.
The only thing I have today is to give you an update from Extension Services on the strategic plan.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Holmes.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Holmes, County Extension Director, Rowan Agricultural Center, 2232 Northeast Jacksonville Road. Thank you for the opportunity to give an update on Extension's efforts in empowering Marion for success. For purposes of the strategic plan, these lie in three primary areas: economic competitiveness of agriculture, water quality and water supply, and youth development through 4-H. So I'll start with our first one, economic competitiveness of agriculture. There are 377,000 acres of production ag in Marion County, and it's roughly 1/3 of our total county acreage.
How many acres of those? Could you please repeat that amount?
Yes, 377,000 acres of ag production. Because of attention to nutrient load and the recent creation of 2 basin management action plans, our work in agriculture links closely with Area 2, water quality. Over the past 15 to 20 years, Extension has worked closely with the Florida Department of Agriculture, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and the industry to develop best management practices for agriculture. These are unique for each segment of the industry. There are about 16 of these books. There are BMP books for citrus, nurseries, cattle, and equine. Farms are encouraged to register their acreage through the Department of Agriculture, and farms that are registered are presumed to be in compliance with the best management practices. Currently, 385 producers in Marion County have enrolled, representing 31% of producers. FTAX reports that 79% of producers have yet to enroll, representing 148,367 acres. So basically that means that they have had some of the large landowners enroll, but there are still several small landowners that we need to reach. Extension will continue to work to help producers understand how to implement the BMPs for their ag operation. Extension also teaches the latest recommendations in fertilizer, pest control, and new cultivar varieties based on our research. For example, in the turf industry, we have recently released a new variety of St. Augustine grass. It's called Citra Blue, and you'll be pleased to know that it was developed on Highway 318 at our research farm. It's going to be available soon for developers and homeowners, and it offers better drought tolerance, which is in line with our need for water supply, and it offers some chinch bug resistance, which means we'll be using less chemicals. It's a superior product to the traditional Floratam cultivar. I want to mention our fall cattlemen conference because we have a large cattleman industry in the county. And we, each November, have an update or a forum where cattle producers can learn the latest developments to keep them competitive in the world marketplace. We have about 100 producers attend this conference annually. Item 2, water quality. Extension works to prepare the industry to protect water quality. An example is our course, Best Management Practices for the Green Industry. This is offered quarterly. It's a one-day course consisting of 5 modules, which include emphasis on protecting the water resource. Fertilizer applicators who pass the exam may apply for certification from FDACS to apply commercial fertilizer. And our pass rate in Marion County for this course is 81%. During your recent meeting with Alachua County, there was brief discussion on their fertilizer ordinance, which has blackout dates for application of nitrogen and phosphorus between December and February. I want to mention that this is in accordance with Extension's recommendations that no fertilizers be applied after October 1st and before March 15th. We want to make application of nitrogen when plants are actively taking it up. Finally, I would like to mention that Extension has a grant from the Health Department to test well water samples for bacteria. A new program, Is Your Well Water Well, is offered free of charge the first Thursday of each month, and usually we have about 20 in attendance. This class was initiated following concerns from flooding after Hurricane Irma. Following participation in this class, residents may submit their well water sample for testing at no charge. I am pleased to announce that the grant has been extended for another year through June 2020. And then the last area I want to mention that Extension has worked in for years is youth development through 4-H. This program prepares young people to become responsible citizens by developing skills in leadership, citizenship, communication, and responsibility. In recent years, 4-H has developed a robotics program as part of our efforts in STEM education. If I'd been giving this report 5 years ago, there wouldn't have been any mention of STEM. So it's a fairly new thing that we're working on. 2 years ago, the team from Marion County placed 4th out of 60 teams in the competition. They are currently preparing for a contest this spring in West Palm Beach. 4-H participation has remained strong in the Southeastern Youth Fair with approximately 600 members showing during last month's fair. And I am very pleased to let you know that the dog training program has recently relocated to the 4-H farm. They'd been at the livestock pavilion for several years, and we encouraged them to move, and they finally have. So we see that as a good thing. Livestock and dogs usually don't mix. On the immediate horizon then for extension, participation in the 175th anniversary celebration on March 30th. We have arranged for the UF Water Ventures van to join us, and so I hope that you all will tour that van. It travels all over the state and it teaches about water. So today, I talked to the gentleman yesterday, and they're in Fort Lauderdale today. So we will be very pleased to have them on March 30th. Also, we will be having a UF program review April 15th to 17th to assess the effectiveness of our programming and to give recommendations on how it can be improved. As always, we appreciate being part of Marion County and the support we get from the Board of County Commissioners as we work to extend UF research to citizens who live in our county. Challenges associated with food production, youth development, and protection of natural resources will continue to drive our extension work as we fulfill our responsibilities to empower Marion for success. Thanks. Are there any questions?
Do we have anyone?
Just, you mentioned the Cattlemen's Association, which Wednesday up in Tallahassee, the Cattlemen's Association took over Adams Street. Great steak. And then what was interesting, UF IFAS had a lady that she introduced herself. She's a, not pharmacist, but a veterinarian, but she's a beef doctor. Right. Her specific area is making sure the beef tastes good. And I was like, I didn't even know they get that specific, but our Cattlemen's Association that was up there with all the other cattlemen's, participating, so it's really great seeing them up there.
It's always interesting to see them in Tallahassee because you see all those cowboy hats. And I was tempted to bring my Stetson today, but I thought, oh, I better leave it home. It gets me in trouble.
It would have been welcomed. Before you go, though, Mr. Holmes, there's still a little over 100,000 acres of farmland that we have not registered. Is that it? Do we have a timeline?
Well, actually, they would like to get those registered. We have about 61% of our acreage that is currently registered. Right. And so they want to go after that other 39%, but they are going after the big acreage first and working with them on registering to show BMPs. And so we will continue to work, and our department works with a lot of the smaller farmers. And so we always present the BMPs for their particular operation, and we do encourage them to register through FTAX.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you. We're blessed to have you and all the many programs here in our community. So thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks for the chance to be here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go back now for our public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of publication on that?
We do. Okay. I have a proof of publication of legal ad number A0009494416 entitled Notice of Public Hearing of the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County to consider adoption of the following ordinance. An ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida, repealing section 16-49, renewal of franchises and designating that a section as reserved, and amending section 16-23, existing franchises 16-25, term of franchises section 16-41, insurance, and subsection C of section 16-45, franchise records and reporting of chapter 16, article 1, division 2 of the Marion County Code of Ordinances, providing additional details to those sections, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for filing, and providing for an effective date, published in the Star Banner newspaper on March 8th, 2019.
Very good. Thank you so much. Mr. Kirkman.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Jody Kirkman, Environmental Services Director. Again, we're presenting this morning, requesting a revision to the existing ordinance with regards to franchises. It's pretty straightforward, but again, the request is to allow some of the vendors to actually make improvements in their fleets, to actually do that, and actually we benefit from that in the long run. This request is, as long as the franchises meet our criteria, they'll keep their license. So it will basically remove any of the terms basically placed on the licenses. That being said, I'd be glad to entertain any questions.
Board, do we have any questions? Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this matter? If so, I invite you to come down. Seeing that there is no one offering public comment on that, I'll bring it back to the board.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Gold. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kirkland. That now is going to take us into our committee. Well, Mr. Boyne, yes, did you have anything additional?
No, ma'am, that's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Yes, sir. We'll move to committee items. And
10A is a request to approve and advertise one alternate member vacancy for the Dog Classification Board.
So moved. Second.
got a motion by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. All right, then, Commissioners, we have several items. Notation for action, 11A through 11D. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
On the first one, Mr. Administrator, who's going to get all the notices for this? Everybody in the service area? Going to get notified of that public hearing?
This is on 11A question.
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Jody?
I would tend to think it's just a publication notice.
Is it just a publication notice?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kirkman, do you have something you'd like to add on that one?
When will people be notified that are actually going to be affected by the notice? Will they get a direct mail piece eventually?
I think eventually we will have to develop a role with all the properties impacted.
So, Madam Chair, I would like us to send a notification to the property owners that will be affected versus sending it to them on their trim notice that we've implemented. I feel like that we're going to set ourselves up for failure if we don't have a community discussion before this versus just putting a newspaper article advertisement out that no one's going to pay attention to, and we're going to hear about it when it hits the trim. Right, so we're probably doing this in reverse order, like government typically does, instead of involving the community and having that community of why we're doing this, what we're looking forward to, having that community dialogue first. We're setting ourselves up to have a public hearing, put in affect the trim rolls, and then hear what the public has to say about it.
So can we get something noticed in their next billing, and are we going to have to revise our timing on
The problem with this is that the people that we're going to be imposing most of this on don't have our services.
Don't receive a bill now.
Do a direct mail or something.
It will have to be special direct mail.
Right, we should be, we're going to affect every person that is in our service area or that we're going to define as a service area. Every single one of those people should get a mailer.
So have we given any consideration on getting that accomplished? Has this come up in the past?
No, not that I know of.
It's a good idea.
If I may, Commissioners, Angel Rosell, Assistant County Administrator for Public Works. It has been considered to be done even before the trim notice to do town hall type meetings. But right now you have the process of the ordinance, which is the one that that you're discussing right now. After that, you're going to have a resolution to actually establish the fees and all that. At that point is when we were going to go ahead and notify. There is no dollar amount that you're setting up yet. So even though the hearing can be done, not all the information is there yet. So this is only amending our code to allow for this to happen.
So we are only putting the, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr.
This is
Mitchell.
related to the availability fees.
At this point in time, this is simply an ordinance. Nothing takes effect until we do the resolution. We
Correct.
don't have a date for the resolution at this point in time.
Correct.
So that buys us time then if we go ahead with our public hearing for the ordinance until we do the resolution to make those contacts and determine how that can be done and how quickly it can be accomplished.
Correct, and we still have to certify the parcels and the addresses that may get affected, which that hasn't been done yet.
Commissioner Zalek?
Okay, so the problem with this is that we need to have enough time to have enough community discussion, not a couple town halls that are going to be set up, 3 weeks ahead of the resolution or after the resolution. This is the beginning of this process. We need to be notifying people now of the potential. We can come up with a potential rate. I mean, listen, these guys know at the end of the day some kind of range, just like we do on a property assessment, right? We need to be notifying people of what their potential outlay is. This is to be put on the rolls by this summer for us to vote on. It's just a few months away.
We've had conversation on this in the past.
I know, but now it's time to go out and send out notification, and we're going to put an ordinance in effect that can apply to it. Now's the time. I mean, unless you guys want to do it the other way, I don't want to.
What's the number we're looking at? Number of customers affected?
Resolution.
Potential number of customers right now, we're looking at about 15,000.
Yes, Commissioner Moore?
Angel, how soon, because like to Commissioner Zalek's point of it's better sooner than later, you're talking about that before the resolution. How soon before that resolution? Because if we go ahead and pass this today, how soon can we get a notice out in conjunction with this?
What I'll say is, if the board's desire is to go ahead and notify those potential parcels that we've identified, we can do that, and we can set up a range of the numbers that we're looking at right now.
Right, but I'm saying we can get out in time that they can know about the April 2nd at 10 a.m., correct?
The challenge, it's not as important that they know about this particular ordinance thing.
Right.
But I think we need to send out a notice that says, hey, here's this, here's a potential for you to come and we can have a community conversation.
Right.
So
town hall, whatever you want to call it.
So can you make if you're ready to make a motion as to what's your remedy?
What's that?
What's your remedy on this?
Well, I'll move this for approval as long as the board agrees that we're going to send out we'll send out a notice to all affected property owners and to set up a town hall meeting for all of them to come to in the most affected area, whether that's Silver Spring Shores or I'm assuming that's probably the most affected area, or if there's one in Silver Spring Shores and in Marion Oaks, we'll have two of them. However you guys want to do it, I think we need to be out there and telling our story on why we're looking at this, what the explanation is, why our springs are important, all the reasons that we've considered. All they're going to see is a bill.
So I hear that you're making a motion to move this forward with the understanding that we will notify these 15,000 potential new customers with dates certain as to when we'll be holding town halls in their respected areas, so that we can discuss this with them and go over our why.
So I'll move for approval of the
what she just said.
Schedule to advertise the public hearing, along with by next meeting for staff to bring us back a range and a couple dates on the most affected areas to hold town hall meetings and a mailer to be sent to each individual impacted.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore. Madam Clerk, did you get the motion well? And Commissioner Gold.
What's the number of customers out of that 15,000 that we can possibly send with our billing notice? Is that, mean,
Well, see, right now, these are people that aren't on the system.
This is totally not,
It's
so,
vacant
okay.
property,
All right.
so that's,
Yeah, it
All
was
right.
my bad for saying that
No, that's
earlier.
fine.
these are gonna be vacant
They're all
property
vacant
owners.
properties.
Right.
Yeah, that are gonna
Right.
be getting a utility bill, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm sorry I misled you there.
No, I was just seeing if we can save a little. All right.
Or improve property that might be on a well that
A
hasn't
current well
connected, yeah.
today.
And I do agree with Commissioner Zalek on this, at least
Yeah.
so that people will know they'll have the opportunity to come in, so when it comes up, because what normally happens, we have somebody comes in here and speaks and said they've never heard of it, but we've notified them the
think-
best that we can.
We'll be doing the right thing with all of the right processes in place as best that we can.
Right.
So, okay, I think that's a great suggestion. Any further?
You're not limiting the town hall meeting to just two. I mean, it could be more
It
than
could be as many
two
as you,
in other areas
Set up
of
the first two
county.
at least by next board meeting.
We will have it for you, Commissioner.
as many as you think is appropriate to hit our public. Okay. Any further discussion on 11A? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. That'll take us to 11B, C.
I'll move 11B, C, and D.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Zalek with a second by Commissioner Gold. Any further discussion on those items? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Okay, very good. And Commissioner Zalek, thank you for bringing that forward. I think that's, again, the proper thing to do. We'll next go to Commissioner comments, and we'll start with you, Commissioner Zalek.
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Moore.
And may I point out, this board meeting went very effective, and although Commissioner Bryant wasn't here.
Oh.
You know, that was.
Wait till she watches the video back.
I don't doubt
Or
it.
she's sitting there watching.
I'm sure she's sitting there watching our video
videos,
today.
yeah.
Hi, Commissioner Bryant.
Commissioner House.
Hi, Commissioner
see.
House.
We'll see.
Yes.
I think she's gonna keep Bryant.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Anyway, go ahead, Commissioner.
I'd like to thank my fellow commissioners. It's my turn, first of all.
Yes,
I'd
it
like to
is.
thank my fellow commissioners because we had a couple of our commissioners went to Washington, D.C. and represented Marion County issues to D.C. And then they turned around and came up to Tallahassee and joined us in Tallahassee representing Marion County. And then we had Commissioner Gold on his own dime go represent Marion County to Ireland for us. He picked St. Patrick's Day, so I like the timing there. But thank you so much, Commissioner Gold. And he got in late last night. He is truly a dedicated servant to Marion County, so thank you, Commissioner Gold. While we were up in Tallahassee, we got to meet with a whole bunch of people. Loretta Schaefer, by the way, went up, and I've got to brag on her a little bit. We went up, we bumped into Senator Galvano, which he's the Senate president. He said some things I'll get into in a second. But my 2 minutes with him, I got to basically talk about our veterans nursing home. Well, then when he gets done, he says, go speak with his legislative aide. We did. Well, Loretta hit it off with legislative aide like no tomorrow. Legislative aide opens up to Loretta, so I'm able to pump all Marion County issues while she's just being Loretta and just got that wonderful personality and really opened up and gave us an opportunity. One thing that Galvano did say in his speech before we got to speak to him, he mentioned about developing infrastructure in the central part of the state of Florida. Since we're the central part of the state of Florida, it kind of makes my ears perk up. One of the things they're talking about is some of the stuff the I-75 Relief Task Force has talked about. He's talking about that. My other concern is, what else does he mean by development of Central Florida infrastructure? So we need to be vigilant and keep our eyes on that. And we did also get an opportunity to talk with his office about the nursing home as well as with him personally. And then tourism. Our tourism team went up there. They did a phenomenal job on promoting Marion County. It's just amazing to see, because when we were up there, there was one other county where we were kind of rivals in is Pasco County, but Pasco County's team is pretty good. Our team's really good. And it was like we were kind of joking around with each other because, I hate to say it, but they really outshine. You know, we have a team that outshines most of the state. I mean, you know, the bigger, more well-funded departments, our team does a better job of getting the message out of how awesome Marion County is than some of these ones that they may have tons of dollars, but they don't have the team we have, the outstanding people we have. So it's really appreciated that we have such a great tourism group here that goes up, and they really just love the community. And it shows that it's not a job where they're just making a paycheck, but where they're truly showing the love here. And also, we've got Jim Couillard in the back. Our Parks and Rec department got a couple shout outs while I was in Tallahassee, which is nice to hear people in Tallahassee recognizing our Parks and Rec department too. So tell your team they got a shout out too. So thank you to everybody that went up there and just really promoted Marion County. So hopefully we'll see some benefits to Marion County in the future. And then one person promotes Marion County all the time, too, at least one state legislator.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Gold, welcome home.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, that is the 10th anniversary of the twinning between Ocala, Florida, Marion County, and Newbridge, Ireland. That's gone on this year. They had 22 first responders and local business people who all pay for this on their own and go there, and got to see a little bit of how their government ran, and it was kind of interesting on that. But it was a very good trip, and I think we learned a lot, and I was very impressed that, you know, we have so many people pay for it. And on second part there, kind of follow up what Commissioner Moore was doing, hearing good about staff Mike Savage. I just want to say that it's very nice to hear builders compliment you and your staff. It's been a big turnaround from a couple years ago, and I've had personal dealings with the staff over there and inspections done, and very happy. Even one of the people that were on the trip with me asked about it, and just talked about how everything's done, and they know that you follow the rules, and I think that's been one of the best ways that we've seen anything. So made a good trip for me, and makes it good for us in working conditions, I'm sure, for myself and the other commissioners. When, you know, our staff's happy, we're happy, so it's good. That's all I have, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I have just a few items, Commissioners, and I mentioned at our last meeting that on April the 4th, there would be an educational forum that would be presented. It will take place out at the Klein Center, and this will be at the College of Central Florida, again on April the 4th, and I really hope that we'll all be able to put this on our calendars. It will run from 10 to noon, and it's understanding the community behavioral health provider system in North Central Florida. I'll make sure that you get a layout of what's been put together for that day, but for 2 hours, and the coordinating partners are the Florida Department of Health of Marion County, as well as the Marion County Hospital District and Well Florida Council. And I think this is really going to help us address and understand, I should say, the funding piece to Marion County that comes to us to help us with the opioid issue, as well as behavioral issues and the behavioral health. So I appreciate it if you can be with me out there that same day. We also will be promoting our Run for the Springs. We have a deadline of March the 20th to get registered for all of us that plan to run that day. And more information can be found on the Marion County website. Funds that are raised through this 5K help for us to use for educational purposes in order to protect our waterways, our springs in Marion County. And I encourage businesses to partner with us, bring out a team, run, and enjoy the morning as well. It should be very nice. And then lastly, I have established our account, Commissioners, for our Over the Edge and our efforts to raise funds for the Marion Cultural Alliance, as well to help promote the arts in our community. And I'll make sure you get a copy of the letter that you can use to share with your contacts as we move forward with that, and then determine who will get to rappel 7 stories in the month of May. So anything else this morning before we go back into public comment? Then I will bring
Madam Chair, since you didn't brag on yourself, I'll just say the hard work that thank you for the hard work that you've done with the VA in Tallahassee, in DC, and if you don't know Michelle yet, then you have missed the opportunity to miss somebody. Once she gets on something, she can be quite tenacious, to say the least. And so her work in advocating for the Veterans Nursing Home this session has been just fantastic. I appreciate you really getting after that and making sure that all of those pieces are crossed and making sure that our project stays alive. Marion County veterans, thank you. I promise you, even though they don't see all the things that are happening behind the scenes, all the work that you're doing, all the connections that you have in Tallahassee, because of your position and because of your husband's position, you are taking full advantage of that for the taxpayers of Marion County, I can promise you, and delivering quite the results, which is amazing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Zalek. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll open it back for public comment. Do we have anyone else in the public who'd like to come forward? Good morning, Mr. Munoz.
Morning. Henry Munoz, 495 Marion Oaks Boulevard. I want to thank you for the action you took on 11A. On behalf of Marion Oaks, I know that those prospective residents that are going to be moving there and those that are there now and some of which have properties out there would appreciate this meeting so that we have an idea of what's coming forth and how we can deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Do we have anyone else in the audience who'd like to come forward for public comment?
Joe, you're lip syncing.
Oh, by the way, thank you, Joe, for going to Tallahassee. He was one of the ones that joined us up there.
Roger Nectel, 12727 Southeast 97th Terrace in beautiful Summerfield. I wasn't going to mention anything, but lately I've been listening to the Orlando people, and they're thinking about trying to get the capital from Tallahassee to Orlando. That might be a great opportunity for us. Wouldn't be a bad idea. And actually, all capital should be in the center of the state. This business of person from Miami to try to get up to the capital, it's a quite a venture, you know. But anyway, it's open, you know. I wasn't going to mention this because my other thought was if we had a nice tall capital, we could say it's a beautiful scenic view, like the Empire State Building brings in 20 million people a year just because of the view. So whatever that's worth. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Nectel. Glad to see you this morning. Anyone else? If not, then we will go into recess until this afternoon's meeting. We'll be back together at 1:50 this afternoon for our CRA Advisory Board. Thank you.
Cheryl.
Bye.